What if I told you that quilts hanging from windows, or simple songs sung in the fields, once carried messages that meant the difference between life and death? What if an ordinary lantern glowing in a farmhouse window was not just a light, but a signal guiding someone toward freedom? This is the hidden story of the Underground Railroad and the secret codes that helped enslaved men, women, and children escape bondage and find liberty. In the early 1800s, the United States was a country deeply divided. In the southern states, millions of African Americans lived under the brutal system of slavery. They were forced to work from sunrise to sunset, with no pay, no rights, and no hope of freedom. Families were torn apart at auctions, children separated from parents, husbands from wives. Life was filled with fear and suffering, yet in the hearts of the enslaved, there burned a quiet fire, the dream of freedom, but escaping slavery was no easy task. The journey north stretched hundreds of miles through forests, rivers, and swamps. Slave catchers and bounty hunters patrolled the roads. Rewards were posted for runaways. Anyone caught trying to escape faced whipping, imprisonment, or even death. The odds were overwhelming, and yet, thousands attempted the journey. What made their survival possible was not only their courage, but also a vast and secret network known as the Underground Railroad. Despite its name, the Underground Railroad was not made of trains or tracks. It was a chain of hidden routes, safe houses, and brave individuals who risked their lives to help others. Farmers, ministers, shopkeepers, and freed African Americans acted as conductors, guiding enslaved people along their dangerous path to freedom. Every safe house was called a station, every helper a conductor, and every person escaping slavery was called a passenger. But how could such a secret network function without being discovered? The answer lay in a hidden language, a code spoken through symbols, songs, and signals. To the untrained eye, it was invisible. But for those seeking freedom, these codes were lifelines. Quilts became one of the most powerful tools of communication. Imagine walking past a farmhouse and seeing a quilt hanging on the porch. To neighbors, it looked like ordinary laundry. But to those on the run, it was a message. A log cabin pattern stitched into the fabric meant the house was safe, a refuge where food and shelter could be found. A flying geese pattern pointed the way north, showing the direction to follow. Each design carried meaning. Some quilts told escapees to prepare for a long journey. Others warned of danger. Entire maps were stitched into fabric, passed down by those who understood the language of freedom. Music, too, carried secret messages. Songs were sung in the fields, in churches, and in gathering places, their lyrics filled with hidden directions. One of the most famous was, "Follow the Drinking Gourd." To those who only heard the tune, it seemed like a spiritual, a simple hymn. But to those in the know, it was a guide. The Drinking Gourd was another name for the Big Dipper constellation. By following its shape in the night sky, runaways could find the North Star, the eternal compass pointing toward freedom. Other songs offered warnings or reassurances. "Wade in the water," told escapees to move through rivers and streams to throw off the scent of hunting dogs. "Steal away," signaled that a secret meeting was about to begin. These songs were passed through generations, disguised as religious hymns but functioning as survival manuals. Signals were everywhere if you knew how to read them. A lantern hanging in a window might mean the path was safe for the night. Chalk marks on a barn door could show which way to go. Even phrases in everyday speech carried coded meaning. When a conductor said, "The packages have arrived," they were not speaking of goods or supplies. They meant human lives had reached safety and were ready to move again. At the heart of this secret network were people who risked everything for the cause. One of the most famous was Harriet Tubman. Born into slavery, Harriet escaped in 1849. But her story did not end there. Rather than stay safe, she returned again and again to the South, guiding others to freedom. She followed the stars, the songs, and the codes, and she never once lost a passenger. Her bravery earned her the name, Moses of her people. Harriet Tubman alone led more than 70 enslaved people to freedom and advised hundreds more. She carried no weapons other than her faith and her determination. But Harriet was not alone. Across the country, countless unnamed heroes played their part. Black and white, men and women, rich and poor, they all became links in the chain of freedom. A farmer who left a candle burning in his window, a minister who hid people in his church basement, a mother who stitched a coded quilt and hung it for strangers to see, each of them risked imprisonment, fines, and even death. Yet they chose courage over fear. Every escape was a journey filled with suspense. Families traveled by night, guided only by the stars. They crept through forests, crossed rivers, and hid in barns or cellars during the day. Sometimes they rode hidden in wagons beneath piles of hay or produce. Other times they walked for miles barefoot, leaving no tracks for dogs to follow. Every sound in the dark could mean danger. Every shadow could hide a hunter. Yet hope kept them moving forward. The Underground Railroad stretched all the way into Canada, where slavery was outlawed and freedom was guaranteed. Many who made it that far began new lives, building families, working as farmers, teachers, and leaders. Some even returned, like Harriet, to rescue others. Each success story spread hope and determination among those still enslaved. The secret codes of the Underground Railroad did more than guide people to freedom. They built a culture of resistance. They showed that even when laws and systems were stacked against them, enslaved people could fight back with intelligence, creativity, and unity. By turning everyday objects into tools of liberation, they proved that even the simplest things, a song, a quilt, a lantern, could carry the weight of hope. When the Civil War began, the Underground Railroad played a vital role in weakening slavery. Thousands had already escaped, and their stories inspired soldiers and abolitionists alike. After the war ended and slavery was abolished, the codes of the Underground Railroad faded from use. But their legacy lived on in memory, in stories, and in the songs that still echo today. The story of these codes is not just about escape. It is about resilience, unity, and the power of hidden strength. It is about ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the face of unimaginable danger. These codes remind us that freedom was never handed down from above. It was seized, protected, and carried forward in secret by those who dared to dream. So the next time you hear an old spiritual song, or see a quilt hanging in the sunlight, remember that once, these were not just art or music. They were lifelines, written in a language only the oppressed could truly understand. They were the whispers of freedom, stitched and sung across a divided nation, guiding countless souls toward a life they had only dared to imagine. And that is the secret world of the Underground Railroad, where every symbol told a story, every song carried a message, and every step taken in the dark was a step toward the light of freedom.